Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Vobes show. At least I hope it's going to be exciting. Welcome aboard. Sit down and enjoy yourselves. Well, good evening. Take the title screen off, put the camera on. There we go. That's how it works in this show. Hello and welcome to another exciting Vobes show with me, Richard Vobes, on the 18th of November 2020. It's 8 o'clock here in the UK, but it might be a different time where you are. And, of course, you may be watching the show well after it happened. I welcome those who've already seen it. Hello. What did you think? Did you enjoy it? I didn't like the middle bit, but the end was quite good. That's probably the nature of all of these shows. Well, it's lovely to be with you midweek on a sort of wet and windy, nasty kind of weathery vent. Weathery vent? Yeah, something like that. Day at the moment here in the UK. I'm hoping that we're going to get some good weather because I want to get out and carry on doing my lovely walks and bring you some nice videos. I did manage to get out this morning, you'll be pleased to know, and on tomorrow's episode there will be another video for you with me out in the big wide world. Oh, it's so wide. You need to gobble up as much food as you can and swell yourself out so that you sort of get from one end to the other without actually having to walk. It's always a good policy, and it's not really mine. Anyway, welcome on. Let's find out who's in the Vobosphere and say a few hellos. Why not? Because it's a friendly sort of thing to do, isn't it? That's what I think. Okay, so let's have a look. Michael White was first off. It seems to be a bit of a race now to get into the chat room before the lovely Julia. Obviously, I'm in the chat room before anybody else because I set it up. So it's very rare, although I have to say one time I did forget to say hello and Steve G was in there wandering around going, blimey, not even the Vobe. He was very quick off the boot. I don't know quite how that worked, but it was a mental aberration. Is that the word? Aberration? It's a nice word. I remember aberration. Knowing me, knowing you. Aha. Aberration too. That's not a very popular song anymore. Anyway, who else have we got there? We've got Ernie Salmon. He says, tally ho, Richard, did you do a country walk this morning? Yes, I did, actually. I just told you about it. You must have known in advance. He says, well, we did. However, it was bucketed down and we had to rush home to take the clothes in from the washing line. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you didn't get too wet. Evening to At Home with Mindy, who says, hi, everyone. I've just had a chilli and now we've all got runny noses. Isn't that the sort of thing that's supposed to reverse that? That if you have a runny nose, you have a hot chilli and it gets rid of all those things? Or maybe is it the sinuses get fired up as a result of having the chilli? Who knows? Probably somebody, and maybe they'll email in. Kerry Baldwin, good evening to you. She says, mind you have my sympathy. I have a sore throat. I haven't Mindy, she says, you have my sympathy. I haven't seen anyone in weeks. Well, it's all this locking down. You see, if you will lock down, you're bound to get these terrible colds. They come down the chimney, you know, when you're not looking. Ringer Ollie, good evening to you. And Andrew Norris, what ho, Vobesters. Rami Boo is there. Hello to you in the middle of the night in America. Nice to see you. Ernie, it's the middle of the afternoon, isn't it? You're 6 hours behind, so it's in the middle of the afternoon. Oh, yes, it's the Vobe show in... the bald whatever. I always think that somehow, because you say often, I had to wake up to watch it, but I get confused. It's very easily done. Ron Langley says, good evening. Dave of Yore, hello to you, Dave. Robert Brailsford, hello, Robert, over there in Somerset. Nice to see you. To see you nice. Good game, good game. Talking of game, we have venison sausages in the Essie as we speak. I will be taking them out of the Essie and gobbling them on the show and letting you know what I think of venison sausages. You may remember on the Monday show, the lovely Julia came in and we had venison stew, and very nice it was too. I was a bit nervous about it. There was a lot of trepidation about gobbling it up, but I can tell you it was delicious actually, so I may well have it again. Who else have we got there to say hello to? Julia M, definitely dancing. La-da, la-da, la-da-da-da-da-da-dee. Marvellous, that's what we like. Merritt Genealogy from Good Day Down Under. He says Alpha, Aloha from a very shut down Adelaide and South Australia. Currently overcast here, sport, but heading to 37 degrees. Know what I mean? We're going to hang out down there by the Billabong. It's a terrible accent, isn't it? I must get a... Eric, can you fire up another Australian accent? Good day there. Call that a knife? That's not a knife. Anyway, what else we got? We have True Tales from the Tombstones. Hello. Once upon a time in a terrible tomb there was a little grim fellow with a long straggly beard and blue piercing eyes. He was a verger of the church once, but unfortunately he had a terrible accident. He went down into the crypt and crawled under the little altar there when one of them old skulls he used to keep on a top shelf, it was his old mother, you know, got dislodged, it did, and rolled to the end of the little planked shelf and tumbled down, free falling through the sky, gaining momentum as it came. And as he came out from the altar there with the little mouse trap, catching the little mouse for his tea and going, "Ooh, I shall eat tonight," the skull came crashing down on his head and killed him dead. And that's the story of the verger. So called, and so said by Philip Mercer, 1834. There may be actually, I think that's the genesis of a story there. There's a genesis of a story. If you see that being read to you by that fellow Richard Vobes, a bold explorer, one day, it's obviously come genuinely from one of the books of Philip Mercer. He's got a whole load of books. He's got Tales of Old Sussex, further Tales of Old Sussex, Tales of some of the other counties in England. He's got Pig's Tales, Horse's Tales, and Cat of Nine Tales. He wrote a lot of books. And I believe there's another set that he's still writing as we speak. I don't know when he died. He published the original lot in 1834, but I've gathered that there is a 2004 reprint. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. Apropos of nothing. Apropos, that's always good, isn't it? Is that Latin or is that German? Apropos, jawohl, mein Herr Kapitän! No, it's not German. Merritt Genealogy, I've just done all that, gags, and Tales from the Tombstones, nice to see you, by the way. And actually, if you are in by the way, the river way, that is, careful because your feet can get wet. Not a good place to put a tomb, is it? Right in a river. Because unless, of course, it's a tomb for dead fish that's not quite dead. Like, sometimes you get those fish that swim in bowls and they go round and round and round and people go, you know, you've seen them at the fairground, they get these tiny tiddlers, don't they? And they, when nobody's looking, they got a bit of gold paint, slap it on, put it back. And everybody thinks they're goldfish. They're just fish painted gold. Some of them, of course, have got gold relief on them, which you rub it right hard on the fish. There's not much left of the fish, mind you, when you finish that. You've got a nice sort of mosaic and some sort of squished sludge-looking thing, but still gold relief there. And what a relief. It hasn't changed into silver because it would have been less money. Andrew Norris is there. Clive Waterfall. Who else? Linda Kane. Darren Howell. Sorry about that. A little bit of impromptu singing. Barry Hughes, he says, yet chili is way too hot. Aha. And Graham Roffey says, off fishing in that jumper. Off fishing. Is it like a sou'wester? Is that what they go? I'm off to the lighthouse now, boy. I'm off to the lighthouse, I be. Up to the top of the lighthouse there to light the lantern is what I do. I do it every night at 3:30 in the morning to warn the ships as they come in. And they pass the rocks, the Eddystone rocks. I've seen them flounder many a time. On the Eddystone rocks they flounder something terrible. And they're the men, they leap for their lives. They don't want to drown in a sinking ship, but they get their brains dashed against the rocks, they do, and it's terrible. So I goes up the ladder to the side of the lighthouse in a torrent of rain and shine, and I light the lamp, I does, I light it, up the top there with a little swamvester. Damn and blast, this box of matches is wet through. I gotta go back down the ladder. Climb back down the ladder, I have. Down into the rowing boat. Against the waves it is, as they come crashing in over me. Oh, I don't want to get dashed against a rock, my brain splattered. I come rowing, I does, back to shore, up to Aunt Sally's stores. Sally, I says, Sally, sell me another box of matches, is what I says to her. Sell me another box of matches, 'cause I gotta get a lamp lit. And she says, oh, but Horace, alas, I sold the last box to a man only 10 minutes ago. Where did he go? I says, where did he go? Went up the hill yonder. Oh, golly. I says, and so I says, I just lose a lighter instead. Anyway, it's not a sou'wester, and I'm not going up to light the lantern. I don't know what made you think that. A stupid thing to say. I don't know. You set me off there, didn't you? God, blimey. Right, what have we got here? Who else is there? Michael White, we've said that. Linda Kane, Ernie Summit, Audrey Forbes. She's out there. Damo, Richard, what news on your land purchase to grow crops? I'll tell you what the news is on the land purchase is that at the moment I haven't sold my father's house, in which I will get a tiny bit of money, tiny bit of money, to put into buying the land. As yet, that house is still up for sale, so I have no money at all yet. My multi-millions will be rolling in 450, 100,000 million pounds, 672 billion, 14 trillion will be rolling in. Or 10 shillings and threepence. I can't remember which one it was now. The house isn't sold yet. The house isn't sold. I have no money, so I can't buy any land until that happens. You can't go buying land. You can go prospecting. Oh, that's a nice bit of land. I'd like to buy that, please. Yes, that's 14 million pounds, please. 14 million pounds? 14 million? Yes, well, it is the Isle of Wight. Oh, yes. Well, I don't have 14 million pounds. You don't have 14 million pounds? No, I don't have 14 million. Well, why are you asking me if you can buy the land? Well, somebody there, they asked, and I said, and you, well, that's how it works, you see. Exactly how it works. I had that as a premonition in the middle of the night once, and do you know how premonitions in the middle of the night work? Yeah. Do you know, I had this dream. I had this very strange dream the other day. Oh, I think it was back at the beginning of the year it was. I dreamt that there was this sort of bloke, this sort of rotundish sort of guy with lots of white hair who went on television and told everybody you can't go out your house. You've got to stay in because there's this killer thing going around, this great horrible purple thing with lots of squirty bits coming out of it. There was this killer, I think he called it a virus or something, I don't know, I can't quite, something to do with a lager that if you drink it, and it was a terrible dream. Anyway, I'm going to wake up soon. I'm sure when we get the great reset, I will wake right up and somehow build back Bretta, build back Bretta. Who's Bretta? Bretta's a nice girl, isn't she? Hello, Bretta. Hello, how are you? I'm all right. Hey, they've built you back better, haven't they?
Oh, yes, sir, they certainly have.
Hoo-hoo-hoo! Anyway, today's show's going very well. We haven't really done anything, talked about anything, opened the phone lines, or even said anything about the venison sausages. If I haven't said hello to you by now, I apologise. Please write in and complain. Not by email, that's far too easy. Please take a piece of wallpaper off your wall, tear it down, write in a nice rubbery pen, fold it up and make a paper dart of it and send it more or less on an east by east, a north by northeast wind to Worthing. I'll get it. Have no fear. And if you don't hear from if you don't hear from me, you know that I've replied. That's usually the way it works in this world. Anyway, it's very nice to be here at 16 minutes past 8. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. It is time now to have our very first video of the day. I can't remember how many videos we've got now. By the time we get to this point, everything seems a little bit of a blur, really. Do you remember? Do you know any Blur songs? I know there was another band. There was Blur, wasn't there? And there was the other band. What were they called? Muffled. Yes, Muffled. They were a great band. Yeah, and then I think they tried earlier before they had success with. They had muttered. So they went from muttered, I think that was somebody else, which was almost a hit. And then there was, of course, Muffled. And their brothers and sisters came out with Blur, which was something a lot of cameramen had struggled to sort of film them because they couldn't quite get the right filter for it. And you know what that's like. What we need is somebody to shine some light on the situation so that we can see exactly what is going on. And who better than Mark Donny McLeod?
Good afternoon. The whole thing of today is I haven't done a video for a bit because, well, see, there's this thing called CB19 and it's all over. Not good. Bad chest, bad head, everything bad. Anyway, enough of all that crap. I want to talk to you about, oh yes, dodges. Very bright, isn't it? Nice little thing. Cheap and nasty, but shines a long, long way. And these batteries have been in here now 3 months. I use it quite a lot, particularly going to the bathroom in the midnight. I don't want to be turning on loads of lights. It's easier just to use one of these things. Keep by your bed, you know. If you want to go down to the kitchen for a midnight snack, such. Very useful. Nice and bright. And you can see quite some distance. I tried it in the ginnel behind. See one into the other. Very bright. Very good. And here's the thing. Wilco's, £3. You see? That's right. £3. Pound sign. 3.00. £3. Not 30, not 13, not 300. £3. So, how are your bargains coming on then? I shall hope to endeavour and get one of these done again quite soon. I might even send this little video to Mr. Vobes, put in his show. And yeah, wonder what he's up to now. He's in a van, you know, a black van. Yes, travelling around the south coast. With company. Anywho, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and don't get this thing, because it's very, very nasty. Tatty bye. Always have to look for the bum.
Is it me now? Is it me? There's always that little, we're watching a video. Oh, yes, very interesting. Oh, crikey. I'm on. Here I'm on. It's like all of a sudden somebody... Oh, yes. Hello there. Oh, Mark Donny McLeod. Wasn't that interesting? Fantastic, actually. That was very interesting. Only £3, ladies and gentlemen. £3, not 300, not 352 million. £3. £3 of... We got £3 of sausages here, ladies and gentlemen. 3 lovely pounds of sausages. Sausages. And there they are. Look, 3... They look like turds, I grant you. But they are actually venison sausages. Yes, it didn't. I wasn't me going out there into the small room to push out a big one or big two. These are venison sausages. Don't say that, please. You'll put people off. These are venison sausages, and here by the use of this fork, this very fork. Stop it. This very. Will you stop? Ouch! No. Now that reminds me of somebody. Jawohl, mein Herr. Stop it. Now here. Who's? There we go. Got to get your face in the. I'm getting the mirror image back at me, and it doesn't work. So I'm nervous about trying this venison sausage. Very nervous about it. If you've had venison sausages, I want to hear from you. You can give us a phone call on 0793 474 6790, or you can talk about anything you bloody well like. Who cares? So I'm going to try this sausage here. I have a knife as well. That's knife. It is knife. Now, the venison, as we discovered on the show the other day, is much leaner meat. So these sausages, there shouldn't be an ounce of flesh in them. I have to say, they're quite potent smell. It's venison. It's game week next week. It doesn't actually smell as nice as the beef we had. No disrespect to you, Joe Suter. Is Joe Suter out there? She is. So, if you like venison sausages, at Suter's, they make some marvellous venison sausages. And here, this is exactly what they look like. Well, only they probably look a bit better than that, because these are quite dark sausages. They do look like a dog came in earlier. I'm not selling it really, am I? The pies. I'm very much looking forward to Pie Week. Can we do Pie Week? I'd like to do pie. Can we change these for pies? It's quite a strong smell, isn't it? It's quite a powerful smell, that game. Do people actually like game stuff? You know, the birds that they hang up, the pheasants and the peasant, not the peasants, the pheasants peasant, the peasants pheasants. What other birds do they have? They have other dead things that they hang and they've shot recently. Anyway, that's the sausages. They do look delicious, don't they? And by golly, they are delicious. Thank you so much, Joe, for sending them in. And very nice sausages. Absolutely delightful sausages. You couldn't ask for better sausages, even if you tried. You certainly couldn't. Let's see what some of the comments are about the sausages. English Andy says, sit in the dark for 2 hours. Yes, sit in the dark. Mark Donny McLeod says, it's you, Andrew. No, I don't believe I have shares. I'm not quite sure what he's on about. One of the sausages looks like it's decidedly dodgy provenance, says Clive Waterfall. Mark Dark Connor's Corner says, Mr. Hankey from South Park. And Audrey Forbes Hamilton says, I have a version a venison burger, and it was nice. Actually, we do want to go back to Suitors and get some ordinary ordinary, I stress the ordinary, non-venison burgers is what I'm looking forward to trying. Michael White says, put a big dollop of English mustard on it. Ah, yes, if only I had a big dollop of English mustard, that would be the thing. Venison sausages, I remember, says Mark Donny McLeod, I remember serving them with red currant sauce. I nearly read that as redundant sauce. Red currant sauce and mash with red wine gravy. Very nice. Ah, there we go. And Dave of yours says, it's game week in the sun. I don't know what that means. House of Baboshka says, I want roast dinner now. Yes, a roast dinner would be rather lovely. And Kerry Baldwin says, just eat it and stop playing with your food. Dave of yours says, get on with it. Just try the man, says Linda Kane. Robert Croser says, does he have shares in your butchers? No, we don't have shares in them. A shelf would be nice with all the Vobes food on it. Rummy says, Rummy, that's an old card game. I used to like playing Rummy. Ramy Boo says, can't believe he actually said that. I did say that. I think that was part of a band. I know we were talking about Blur earlier, but Take That, that's a band as well, isn't it? Take That and Give Me This. Ron Langley, stop playing with your sausages, Richard. Sorry, I will stop playing with them. Justin Jones says, I like them well hung. Snigger. Snigger, snigger, snigger. And Deborah Martin, yes, I eat a lot of game. Pheasant is lovely. Does it not have game? Does it not have an upsetting? A smell that sort of makes you unsure of yourself. Does it not, game? I know they say it's a distinct flavour. And Ringer Ollie says, have you eaten a bit yet? And he says, had to pop downstairs. What? Did he find a bucket or something? And Julia M says, pheasant pate is lovely but difficult to find. Yes, I imagine it is. Having Weetabix for breakfast, says, if only Weetabix is lovely. I do like a bit of Weetabix. And Josh Hastings says, hello, as a vegetarian, I must say bangers and mash made it for the last furlong. And Ringer Ollie says, just eat it for crying out loud. And House of Babushka says, you're going to try pigeon pie next. No, I don't think we'll try pigeon pie. And Josh Hastings says, game equal rights. Yes, probably. Light the fuse and stand well back. And President-elect said what? It's buffering here. Oh, no, is it buffering? Oh, my giddy aunt. We can't have it buffering.
Hello, Verminauts. Wherever could I be today? Well, no, I'm not in Worthing. I'm not in Liss. I'm not in Brighton. Silleth by the sea. Just look at this. Just look at that. This is about 20 miles from Carlisle. And believe it or not, it is a holiday resort. But you'd never guess, looking at the state of this weather. I know it's very windy. Can't be helped. I don't have my GoPro on my phone, so you just have to get used to it. So tough. There's no COVID talk today, no butcher talk today. This is just some idiots walking along the front, looking at the sea and telling you a lot about it. Look at that. This is the front. That is the summer house there, the amusements. Believe you me, in the summer this place is crowded. There is a beach there somewhere, but it's obviously high tide. This is the slipway, the lifeguard. And there is the lifeguard station. That is a Car's flour mill there. The Car's biscuits come from. Usually there's people fishing off this seawall, but not today. Can't say I blame them. They won't catch anything in that. And just over there you can see is magnificent. Just look. Love it, love it, love it. Anyhow, I'm going to let you all go before I get swamped. I must be Bartley, which I am. This is within feet of me. Oh dear. It's incredible. I absolutely love it, love it, love it. I'm going to...
Anyway, that was a nice interlude of buffering. I don't know why it was buffering. It was buffering here, and I was playing it from the video. It came in, Robert Croser. That was Robert Croser up there somewhere. I couldn't really hear what he was saying, and there was a lot of wind and crackles and what have you. But we're very indebted to you for sending that in. It's so kind of you. Where would we be without the lovely Croser sending in those very random shots of 1 minute is here and 1 minute is there, and then is up there, and sometimes he's down there, and I don't know, it's all over the place. If only I had a YouTube channel, I could subscribe to it and then unsubscribe from it and then come back again and subscribe and unsubscribe and change my mind and make my mind. It would be fantastic. I'd love to see more of that, Mr. Croser. Please send them all in. I love the buffering in particular. It was rather superb. Anyway, there we are. That was a bit of up north for you, where it's very windy. Nothing like that ever happens down here in jolly old Worthing, luckily. Phew! Thank goodness for that. We have a moment of Norris a little bit later on in the show, but the moment of Norris is short and sweet and rather, what's the word, serious, I suppose. It's based on a serious thing. So we've just got to get the mood in the right frame of mood, because it's a serious thing, something that's happened in Croatia some time ago. And people, must respect that. And so he just gave me a slight warning on that, which is very good. Anyway, so there was another talking point that I wanted to put to you, and that is, how offended do you get? I was watching a video earlier this evening, and they were talking about comedy and how in comedy people can get offended very easily. And the days before social media, before you had a Twitter account or a Facebook account or any of those sort of things, if you went to see a comic, I thought this was quite an interesting point. You went to saw a comic and you didn't like what they said. You just waited, didn't you, for the next joke and thought, oh, well, that was a bit of a joke. I didn't find that very funny. Oh, there's a joke, and I do like that joke. Well, now it seems, according to this particular comic, whose name I've never seen him before, never heard of him, don't know who he is, and I'm sure he's very funny, by the way. And it seems now that what happens in the world of comedy is when people hear a joke, if they don't like it, they now take to Twitter or Facebook and they start to complain about that joke, or indeed the comic, and start to sort of get a hate campaign all about it. And I wondered, is that what it is going on? Is that how it's worked out, that we're so offended that we feel that our offence, our views on something are so important that the rest of the world must know about it? And so I'm just curious, are you somebody who has, found yourself offended, but not just by comedy, but by anything? And I readily admit, I have gone into a supermarket. I went into a supermarket only the other day, and there on a shelf was all these lovely coffees. I won't give the company any name checks because they don't advertise on here. They don't pay me to say it, but it was cheap coffee that I enjoy. But normally it's about £7 a jar of this stuff, and they often discount it to £5 a jar, which is, a nice discount. And I've bought them and I drink them and what have you, and that's all good and jolly. Well, they put them out on this end aisle with a great big £2. And I looked at them and I thought, blimey, they're normally discounted to £5. Now they're at £2. I'll have 2 jars. I put 2 jars in my basket. And when I came to pay, they went, beep. They said, that's £5 each of those. I said, wait a minute. No, they've been discounted. They said, yes, that's right. They have been discounted. They're normally £7 and they've been discounted by £2 and now they're £5. I said, no, that's not what it says on the shelf. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, on the shelf, it says £2, a great big £2. It doesn't say it's been discounted by £2. It just says £2. You think that whatever's on that shelf is £2. There's nothing else on there. There's no prices on the item. There's nothing on the strip that goes on the shelf. There's nothing. And it should be £2. It says £2. I picked it up and they brought it over here for £2. Isn't it Trades Description Act? Isn't there a thing? It's as advertised. He said, well, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. It's £2 and we're too busy to change it now and it's none of my job. And, and I'm only a tiny little worker here. Don't have a go at me. And I thought, yes, this is the trouble. This is the trouble. And I thought, right, well, I said, I wonder who I go to complain about. And there was a part of me that went, I could go on Twitter, couldn't I? I could go on Twitter and say, click, take a picture and go, look at this, is outrageous, outrageous. They're advertising. But no, I resisted that temptation to go on there and whinge because I thought, who cares? Who cares? They've made an honest mistake. It's a shop. They make a mistake. They employ people for next to nothing. They put the stuff on the shelf and they've got this thing and nobody noticed. So I went up to customer services and I said, excuse me, you probably won't want to know this. You're probably not interested. And the girl looked at me and went, oh yeah, what is it? And I said, look, there's this coffee. I went through the whole rigmarole and she said, oh, okay. I said, and she wasn't, no disrespect to her. It's probably not the biggest thing in her life at that moment. It was probably something that would have got eventually sorted. And I just said, look, you probably will get a number of customers who will pick them up and go, what, they're £2? Wow. I said, I'm just trying to save you a bit of time and any other customer who gets terribly excited and fills a trolley with the stuff. And she said, all right. I said, and also, I think, I'm not sure, but it might be illegal to be selling stuff that's trades description and all of this. Whereupon she said, oh, just a moment, I'll get on the phone. Suddenly, as soon as you said it might be illegal, it's like, oh, right. And she got onto a floor person, whoever is responsible for the floor, and I left it with her. And so off I went. But some people, they find, oh dear, no, I've got to get onto on the social media and tell the world about it, or I've got to put a post on Facebook, or I've got to add a post to somebody else's post and share my view, because my view, I disagree with you, my view trumps your view, my view's much more important than your view. So I'm interested, have we got more intolerant? Have we got more intolerant about all sorts of different things? Nothing specific, but just in general. Are you somebody that finds that you see a post, it doesn't matter whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and you've got to go, no, I can't have that. I must have my 10 pence. No, I disagree with you on that. Oh, dear, no. You are an idiot, mate. You are an idiot. So I'm just interested if that is the case. So Audrey Forbes says, I'm sick of people who's taking offence about every little thing. Me too, absolutely. Give us a call on 0793 474 6790 if you wish to. And Michael White says we have more snowflakes now than in the North Pole. I think that's probably an exaggeration, but it's fairly close to the truth. Oops, Richard says House of Babushka. Kerry says life is too flipping short to be offended by everything. That's true. £7 a jar, says Justine Jones. £7? Well, I don't buy them when they're £7 a jar. I buy them when they've been discounted, of course. Ron Langley says old comedy is much better. Yes, I mean, comedy now, what's funny anymore? The things that you seem to hear on mainstream media that's supposed to be comedy or humorous doesn't even make me sort of go, it doesn't even make me wince. I don't even go, yeah, okay, I appreciate, I can't even appreciate how the joke has been set up. It's usually just something derogatory about somebody on the right of the spectrum. We do have a phone call, which is rather lovely. Let's find out who that is. Hello, caller. Who are you? Where do you come from? What's your inside leg measurement?
It's Mark English.
Mark English, as I live and breathe. Well, so let me have a guess. Is it 32?
Is it 32? Yes, it is 32.
Inside
yes.
leg measurement. There we go.
Absolutely.
We've got to start where we mean to go on. Lovely to have you call on the show, Mr. English.
I didn't realise what a delay that I'm watching on my TV. I've got about a 15-second delay.
Yes. Good job. Mary at Genealogy in Adelaide. He's still watching yesterday's show.
I'm still watching last month's.
No, there is a bit of a delay, so don't look at the screen. Is basically the
I won't look at the screen. I can see the shiny bald head.
Yeah,
it's
that's
fine.
good. How are you?
Offence. Yes, I'm also interesting about offence.
Oh yes, please tell me how.
I think Ricky Gervais sums it all up, and I totally agree. Just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right.
Exactly.
You know, and no one goes out deliberately to offend people. I'm sure you don't. I don't. I think that's silly. But sometimes something comes out, and people want to take as one of your viewers said, the snowflake generation said, "Oh no, can't have that." You know, but no one goes out deliberately to offend people because that's wrong. That's wrong. But occasionally things do slip out, which you think, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Yes, I think we all do that. I mean, it can happen that you get excited in the emotion of something and you inadvertently say something, and then people can be offended by that. And sometimes people will take it more personally than it was ever meant to be. Or they'll take an aspect of it and think, well, he meant me, didn't he? He meant me about that. And you say, well, actually, very often people are talking generally. Sometimes they might be a bit coded, but you just sometimes you're just saying things. I mean, things like on when it's in text form, I think it's difficult for people. They seem to read into things more than there ever is. Have you ever sent a text and someone's going, "What do you mean by that?"
No, but I know exactly what you mean. Because people have sent things to me like that, and I think, oh, hang on, are you being offensive? You know?
Yeah. Hang on a minute. That's come. And sometimes I have to ring them up, and I said, "Have I upset you?" And they go, "No." And I said, "Oh, it's just that you said this in your text, and it sounds like you were upset." No, I was a bit, bit short of time, and I just did it quickly, and I didn't do a smiley, because apparently if you say something as a little bit of sarcasm and you don't put a smiley face, people don't know that it's sarcastic.
That's exactly that. I mean, one of my favourite comedy series, Curb Your Enthusiasm, which some of your viewers might know, Larry David, was an episode last night covering that very topic, saying, "Oh, were they being sarcastic?" No, they didn't do a smiley face at the end.
Yes.
On last night's episode. So yes, I know exactly what you mean.
So it is like there's this language now that you sort of know if you're being sarcastic or something, because you've almost got to put it in speech marks or put a smiley face or something to say it's a bit more than the dry comment. Do you think
that's what's interesting? Yeah. Do you think that's what's interesting? Go on, sorry.
No, go on.
What's interesting about the British public is we're a society that loves to, when you meet somebody you haven't seen for a while, or you meet a friend, the first thing you try and do is get a joke in.
Yes.
Before, that's the way we are.
We are.
We've got a nation of sarcasm.
Absolutely. Do you think here's a question. Do you think we appreciate more and more dry humour than we ever did before?
Yes, I do. I think I say the snowflake generation is probably destroying that a little bit. I'm a bit of a snowflake myself, I've got to admit. When we've had many conversations about this, many topics on this sort of subject.
You're not a snowflake.
Oh, I can be a little bit. I'm sort of equality and all that kind of thing. But not. But the modern generation, you say something, you say, "Oh, you can't say that. You can't say that." Well, what? And sometimes these things come in.
Yes.
When we're not even aware that the terminology is being corrected.
I think that's very true, that the speed of these things that come in and the fashion, and things might come in, particularly there seems to be a whole language and a whole ethos on some forms of social media that everybody then expects everybody else, even though they're not on that social media. So, for example, on Twitter, they may now be outraged by, say, the Me Too movement and things like that. And if you didn't know about that, because you're not into I don't read anything on Twitter anymore. I gave up yonks ago. So if I accidentally say something, suddenly people might be incredibly outraged that I don't know what this faction of people all now find offensive. And yet the rest of the world who aren't on the Twitter thing have no concept about it, and
exactly.
So if
it's a hashtag, isn't it? Normally it's a hashtag.
Yeah.
But as you say, I've been on Twitter. I don't use Twitter. I don't post on Twitter anymore. It's a garbage pool. And you think, where did that phrase come from?
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that phrase.
It does take a lot of these things filter in, and often it'll be Julia or somebody else will say to me, "Oh, that's a thing now," and I'll think, "Oh, really?" I mean, I'm just busy making my videos and running my life, And often these things sort of seep in. You think, oh, I don't really understand what that means. I mean, when I first met the lovely Julia, she was talking about the toxic masculinity. And I had
yes, I'm always aware of that. Yeah,
and that seemed to be about 2.5 years ago. And then I started to hear it on the news and things. Then I started to become aware of it, and now it's phased out. You don't hear people talking about this toxic. It's like these things seem to come in waves of fashionability.
The world's in a very strange place at the moment.
It isn't, isn't it? It's tried hard to keep up with it, and you're trying to sort of not offend anybody by saying all the right things, but it's so easy when the goalposts keep moving.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, if I accidentally offended somebody unintentionally, I'd be horrified.
Yes.
I would be horrified, because that's not my nature to go out and offend people. But sometimes things slip out and you don't realise you've done it.
But sometimes comedy, like Ricky Gervais, can be offensive, but it's funny.
But I'm a bit of a Gervais fan. What he said, he can back up every single joke he's ever done. He's never apologised for a joke. And I like that. He's probably got more morals than most people,
Yes.
So, yeah. But, yeah, he said he'll never, ever have to apologise for a joke.
No, but I mean...
Because he can back it up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, some jokes back in sort of like Monty Python, era, or back in that sort of era, could be quite shocking. And I guess there's a difference between shocking and offensive, maybe. But some people can be offended by something that's shocking, just as art can be shocking and you could be offended by it. But back then, people would just go, well, that's shocking, that's terrible, and then go, but that's art, or but that's comedy, and then just sort of go, well, that's not for me. They wouldn't necessarily, unless that was their job as an art critic or a theatre critic or whatever, and say, oh, Equus... Isn't there a bit in Equus where he stabs a horse's eye out or something? Mm-hmm. And that was shocking when it first happened and all that. And an art critic, of course, may have said, this is terrible, shouldn't have people seeing that and be offended or get a bit censorship, or I don't know, I'm speculating. Whereas now I think if you saw that, if something was shocking, there would be uproar. And then people would gather outside the theatre and say, you can't come into the theatre and see this stuff, and we want this show off. Because that happens.
No one gets offended by some of Shakespeare's plays.
Yes, and
you're
quite
saying,
grisly.
This is what I find something really brutal, which kids read in the class.
Yeah. And
it's like the Quentin Tarantino of the 1600s,
So do you think that's to do with the passing of time? If you've got Shakespeare 300-400 years ago writing, and we can go, that is dreadful, but it was written so long ago, it's no longer offensive. It's acceptable as heritage. Whereas now, if you say something racially outrageous, maybe you're going to be shut down and everybody will hate you and all the rest of it. But maybe in another 50 or 100 years, they just go, no, that's fine. You can say that now.
Time's weird, isn't it? Time does have a lot to do with it.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's really interesting. So
your sweater really, your white sweater really offends me.
Does it? I'm not at all. It offends me because it's made everything else in the picture look slightly less bright. Isn't it?
Does.
I put it on and I thought, wait, the aperture on the camera has actually closed down because it's exposed for my white shirt and it's made me look and everything else look darker. And it can't have because it's a fixed aperture. And I was thinking, I
put my shades on. It's like 10 to 9 at night and I put my shades on to look at the picture.
This is knitted by the lovely Mary Hammond. I have now 5 of these jumpers. I have a blue one, a yellow one, a burgundy one, a teal one, and this off-white, although it looks white.
They look very snug and cosy.
I tell you what.
See what I did there?
Yeah. Cosy, you slimping slam slappert. As the winter approaches, these are more... This wool, I can tell... I don't know what it is. This wool is just so lovely and warm. I won't need the Essie and
exactly.
Won't need any heating because that's what people used to do, didn't they? They used to put on wool and layers.
Well, I try to have a little bit of cold exposure because it's good for your health. I haven't got central heating or anything like that, which is a horrible thing to have in your house.
Oh, dreadful.
I take cold showers. What do I know?
That's because you get very excited.
Yeah, I do, don't I?
Better
yeah,
give him a
hot
cold shower.
showers, and then I go down to cold for the last part of it because it's very good. Bit of cold exposure. You know.
You're one of the. What is it? Hang on. Is it a masochist or a sadist? Which is the one that punishes themselves?
I think I'm probably masochist. I think it's a masochist. I can't pronounce it. The one with the M.
Yeah. So you don't eat much because you're on a permanent. What do you call it?
Well, I do
Starvation
eat.
diet.
I pretty just
Fasting.
as much as you do. Probably not as much as you do. But I have full dinner every day, and I eat a snack at night. But I don't eat during the day. That's intermittent fasting.
Yeah, so you fast in the day, so you don't have all those
Not
joys.
every day, but most days.
Right.
Most days.
Oh, okay. No, just stick to every day because it sounded better. And then and then you have an ice bath every night.
I haven't got a bath. No, we got rid of our bath.
All right. So you have an ice shower, and is it not?
I have a normal hot shower.
Don't say that.
And
You just agree.
Then I gradually go down to a cold shower.
No. It's just it's cold, freezing cold. It's freezing cold. And you barely get any sleep. And when you do, you're on a bed of nails. Is that right?
Yeah, lovely bed of nails.
Yeah, there we go. See, you're a hard man, aren't you? Hard, tough.
I'm a big softy. I'm a big softy. You know me too well.
I know, and it's all, we always have a fight. We need to. I know we're in this lockdown, so we can't do it, but we need to get together and do another spoof something.
Oh, that was good fun. Yeah, don't get me started on the lockdown because I don't want to get into an argument with reviewers.
No, well, you see, if we get into that conversation, we'll upset another bunch of people.
I know.
That's what happens.
I know. You know how me and Richard are both on the same page on this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh well, I'm so thrilled that you rang in. It's so nice.
Oh, you're very welcome.
It's lovely.
I haven't actually signed in. I'm watching it on the TV, so I haven't actually signed in.
No, you don't have to.
Can't really sign in on the TV.
You don't have to sign in. No, it's not like there's a big burly bloke at the door going, "What's your name, mate?" That's Mark English. I'm so sorry, you're not on the invitation list. Go away.
If you're wondering why I haven't done many videos lately, that's just purely because I haven't been out much. So, yes.
Yes, I was wondering, actually, because I do enjoy watching your videos, and when they ping up, it's always...
Ping, do they?
Well, they ping up on the phone and go, Mark English has released another video, and you go, oh, I'll have a cup of coffee and have a watch of it.
Oh.
I don't know if other people do that. I mean, mine are regular, always at the same time, but when people put them up sort of unexpectedly, I think that's quite nice. Because you're
I need to get more done. I just haven't been out much, so it's because of various things and looking after people and
no, absolutely. Well,
yes, and obviously, like a lot of people being furloughed and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. But the good news is that because you're in the theatre world, and we'll put all those lovely people's minds at rest who are watching in now, going, "Oh, Mark, theatres, oh my goodness." But you've been told that your job's fairly secure, certainly into the new year.
Well, it's a case of, I'm furloughed now till January, so which is great. But yeah, our first shows are booked for next April at the theatre I work at. But I'm part of the biggest theatre company in the world, so that's been a big advantage.
Yeah. And it's a skill. I mean, what you do is it's I was going to say it's a skilled job, but it's a job. I mean, when you know all the ins and outs of what the things that you need to know what you do, it's not, you can't just put any, sort of YTA they used to call them, didn't they? Do they still do YTAs?
I work backstage, I'm stage door.
Yeah.
But I'm working in theatre for 25 years.
Yeah. So you know exactly how it works, and you know how to talk to people and relate to people and sort out. I imagine that people come and talk to you, some of the big stars, when they're on shows, and you just have a great conversation, and you must know.
Yeah, I know a few people.
Yeah, but I mean, you must know how to treat people. I think that's a skill, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
You can't, you want to be a bit friendly because, especially as I'm a reception,
yes.
I'm the first people they see. So,
yes, and because I imagine with touring shows, some actors may be a little bit nervous. It's the first time at this particular theatre because it's a well-known theatre and stuff, and somebody like you is going to put them at ease.
Exactly. Yeah, most people are lovely.
Yeah.
Nearly everyone's lovely, actually. I could think of a couple, but not I won't tell.
No.
Most people are lovely. Nearly 99% of people are lovely.
Yeah. It's some of the big names can be a bit awkward. I was talking to my ex Harriet, who works at the prison. And I can't say whether I can now say or not, but they've had a film crew in there doing a television series. It's a big series, and there's a particular person who's very, very well known, But I can't even begin to say. But apparently he's as arrogant as anything. And
Just tell me who that is off air.
Off air. And everything about, he had, they have their personal caravans, whatever they call, Winnebagos or whatever.
Winnebagos, yeah.
Yeah, and his was not, there was things in it that were just not right, And these people are paid absolute so much money. And this Winnebago is only for when he's resting in between shots, or scenes.
Yeah.
He's not living in it. He's just sort of there throughout the day, and all the coffee and tea and all those things are being. And so I heard it straight there, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. They're all a bit like that.
Our theatre, we've had huge Hollywood movies. In the last, we've always been a filming, what we call a filming venue. We've had huge Hollywood movies. And it's been lovely. Michael Caine, I could go on forever who's been in that theatre. They were lovely. Yeah. It doesn't do well in the industry if you're an arsehole. Excuse my French.
No, because, all the time you're going up, you've got to be nice to, that's what they used to say, is be nice to people as you go up, because you're going to meet them on the way down.
Meet them on the way down. I love that. I love that.
So true, so true. I do try to be nice, but sometimes it's difficult. Anyway, we started off offending people. Let's hope we've still kept them. Thank you so much, Mark, for ringing in.
You're very welcome. Hello to everybody in the Vobesphere. The
Vobesphere? The Vobesphere, that'll do. I don't care, whatever it is. Where the sort of ethereal gathering where everybody is.
That's ethereal. I like that. I like that.
There we go. You could get your rods out and you could probably
do a bit of dowsing.
Douse for them. There's a Vobes. There's another Vobe fan over there. There's another Vobenaut, whatever. It's all mad. Anyway, thank you very much for the conversation. I'm going to play in a bit of Andrew Norris now.
Oh, the lovely Andrew Norris. Oh, but I'm going to watch that then.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So all Take care, and thanks again.
All right, cheers, Richard.
All the best.
All right, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we are, the lovely Mark English ringing in. Fantastic. Let's get him on the show, actually. Sometimes, Mark, you'll have to come down and stay the day and do the show with me. We'll have a hoot. If you didn't see the video we made when Mark came down, do check it out. In fact, there's two versions of it, Mark's version and my version, which are sort of the same but very different. Oh, I beg your pardon. We have another phone call coming in. Hold on. Hold your horses. Hello, caller. Welcome to the Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi Shobi.
I'm watching on a big TV as well, so I'm slightly behind the times.
Oh, right, fair. Why do big TVs get sort of like the bigger delay? Is it the bigger the telly?
It's about a 30-second delay. This is Sean Jim's Cameron from London and usually from Wales.
I didn't realise from your voice. I thought you were an Irishman.
I don't know if you've been to the theatre, but over the last...
No, I've never been to the theatre ever.
Well, for the last 3 years, they give warnings now before the play starts.
What about?
So they'll say, like, you'll go and see A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And they'll say, just be aware that in tonight's performance, we will be touching on the subjects of poverty and ghosts.
You think, duh.
And I went to see A West Side Story. I can't understand. I don't go and see a show if I don't know what it's about.
No.
West Side Story it started by saying, please be aware that the topics in tonight's performance will cover gang culture and gunshots. It's like, well, isn't that what the play's about?
Isn't that what the play's about? Once you're a jet, you're always a jet, from the first cigarette to the something or other. When you're a jet, when something hits the fan, da 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 da. I can't remember.
Yeah, that sausage hits the fan. I noticed that disappeared off screen quickly. Anyway, not offending, but somebody used a term to me this week, and I thought, I've just lost the will to live.
Yeah.
Somebody was on the radio, and they said some wrong information. So I challenged them on Twitter because they were saying that women take on allotments because they have their babies and they don't know what to do. So there's been a bit of an uproar about it. And she said a fundamental fact that was completely wrong. So I challenged her on this.
So what was the fact?
She used the term, I misspoke. And it's like, no, you just got it wrong.
So what was, yeah, that's, I mean, it wasn't what's her name? The Labour's, the I can't remember her name, but she's very good at mathematics. So how many? No. How many policewomen? How many police?
Diane Abbott.
Diane Abbott. Yes, Diane Abbott.
She has been on TV recently.
No, but didn't she be the first one to say, "I misspoke"?
No, you just talking out of your bum.
Am I?
No, but this phrase is the first time that I've ever been directed towards me.
Right.
And it just felt really bad because it came from somebody sort of like 50 plus, and I thought you should know better.
Yes, but so what was the fact that she said? Let's get to the bottom of this. What did she say?
She said that she was trying to put a case across that she had done a survey and that there are more women on allotment sites than men. Men are a dying breed, and that women only take plots on because of empty nest syndrome.
Right. So you challenged her on that.
Yeah, and she just said, I misspoke. She was giving some history about the allotments.
I just misspoke.
The movement. And I said, well, if you've got the history wrong, you don't give me confidence in the research that you've done.
Yes. Yes.
And she said, I misspoke.
I misspoke. And I mean, how long ago was it? It was only about 3 years ago that Diane Abbott was on LBC being interviewed by, what's his name? Anyway, and somebody. And he was asking her these questions because she was talking about, well, when Labour get in, we're going to have 10,000 policemen according to this new proposal. And he said, 10,000? And there was, I don't know what the money was, but he said, what are you going to pay them? £1 million each? And she went, oh, no, it wasn't 10,000. I think it was 100,000. No, it wasn't 100,000. And she couldn't remember what it was. And then afterwards, there was this great furore. And Nick Ferrari. That's right. Thank you. And there was this great furore about it. And of course, the memes came out and the YouTube jokes came out. But she said, I misspoke. And I'd never heard that before because it just thought, what? That's not even English.
And then I think about a week after, she said, I didn't want to tell people, but I've got diabetes and I was having an episode. And that's why she didn't know what she was saying.
Ah, yes, that's very useful for the whatever the next to the.
But I offended somebody today.
Oh, good.
I'm doing this thing called biodynamic gardening, where it's you're gardening by the moon. Then, so when the moon is in certain phases, it is said to have a different effect on the seeds and the plants.
Right.
So I thought, for the next 12 months, I'm going to run a test in my garden.
Okay. To
see if there's anything in it.
Yes.
And this woman in her 70s said, that you're off your head, man. The moon isn't going to affect it. What's all this nonsense? And I said rather quickly, talk about nonsense. You're the one that goes to church on a Sunday morning and believes there's somebody who walked across the Thames.
Well, I'm sure that didn't go down well. But
she just turned around and she picked up her bag and said, well, I'm going home. Goodbye.
Yes, goodbye. Well, fair enough. I mean, the thing was, that's the whole point of your experiment, isn't it? She can say, well, that's a load of old nonsense. And you could say, well, It may well be a load of old nonsense, but I'm going to give it a go and see if there's anything in it, which is what you were doing. Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, I want to play a bit of Andrew Norris now, but thank you very much. I didn't realise that they, in theatres, that they make those announcements. I'll have to ask.
They've only been doing it in the last few years because people were. I can't remember what the play is now. Is it Hamlet or something? Because
they're going to talk about suicide, are they?
To be or not to be, whether it's nobler in the mind. So the Sphinx and Alistair Grimsdale instead of breaking all our bottles.
I'd like to see Norman Wisdom.
Shakespeare's thing is that his he puts a dagger through his eye or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And somebody had fainted.
Oh yes.
And they then went to go and sue Bill Vick, I think it was. So then that started the trend of putting these warnings out of,
Oh, so it's the hot apple pie syndrome again, isn't it? Somebody had a hot apple pie and burnt, so they went to sue the big chain that sells hamburgers and hot apple pies, and then so now you can't have a hot apple pie that is over a certain degree of temperature.
It's a bit like this thing that
can't use boiling water for tea now in case you burn yourself.
Your sort of orange drink, your orange juice in the morning, you read on the side of the packet and it says something stupid like, this was made in a factory that may have contained nuts.
Yes. May have been operated by nuts. Anyway, lovely. Thank you for your call. Take care.
Play the video.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye. Sean James Cameron there, and the being offended. Yes, that's fascinating. Thank you for that, Dave, of your Nick Ferrari. The names just don't come to me. Ramy Boo says, I'm off to get my hip injection, so talk to you all later. Hip, hip, hooray! Good for you. So that's all good. Freak gardening accident, says the Vintage News. Hello to you, by the way. I did see where you said hello, Prof. A lot of people won't understand that, but I know who you are and you know who I am. And I always think of you when I go across Shoreham Bridge over the flyover there, because you once aquaplaned, if I remember rightly. And Robert Croser says, do you do Cumberland sausages, Joe? And Justin Jones says, so anyway, what happened to the sausages? What happened? What happened to the sausages? Who knows? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to play in the Andrew Norris moment, and just to bring the tone down a bit, this is an actual serious thing. So let's just take this as it should be taken. Over to you, Andrew.
It's a very foggy day, November the 18th. An ordinary day elsewhere, but in Croatia it's a national holiday. A day of remembering and of mourning, because today commemorates the fall of the town of Vukovar, a town on the Danube which fell to the Serb paramilitaries after 87 days of siege and relentless bombardment on this day in 1991, at the beginning of the war. And I'm heading off to a road in Zagreb named after the town, and across Croatia there are similar roads given the name of the town to commemorate and to remember the people who died. When the Serbs took over the town, they deported or expelled 20,000 people, and a couple of days after that a mass grave was discovered in which there were 200 bodies. A handful of people have been convicted, but no one has taken responsibility. But anyway, I'll show you some of the sights.
There are some truly horrible things in this world, and it's difficult sometimes to see these things and really appreciate what the families must have gone through. We are so cosseted in this world, especially in this country, and we rarely, on average, or in general, see these things firsthand. But it can happen, and I mean, even now, in a way that is almost as bad, I say almost as bad, that we can't see what's going on. There are people during the 2 lockdowns that we've had, and in between as well, who have had problems with their mental health, people who've been driven to take their lives. And these events are coming out in the news, not the mainstream media, but other news sources. And events that sometimes people don't realise what they do, the power they have, how corrupt they've got, and what the stroke of a pen does for families across a nation. And thank you, Andrew, for sharing that, because I had no idea about that. And you could see by the candles lit in those jars just what significance that sort of gives to the families as they remember loved ones or people of their own community or their own country who have been wronged in such a terrible way. But I wonder how many people will be lighting candles for those that have been suffering during the lockdown that we've all been going through, who have perhaps got worse with their mental condition. Their cancers and other treatments have been very late, and possibly the deaths that are going to happen as a result of that. The businesses that suddenly are now no longer there, and the people who owned those businesses, whose families are now thrown on the scrap heap, who perhaps are signing on for the very first time. Proud people who are having to sign on, possibly selling their house or selling their car and possessions, because from March onwards their whole life changed. At the stroke of a pen, as it seems, or an announcement on the television. These things are going on and we often don't think about it. And it is a huge tragedy. And I think these things need to be reflected and thought about from time to time. And so I appreciate Andrew talking about that event, but also these events are still going on. You know, the world in its evil ways has not stopped. And I try to bring a bit of light and a bit of entertainment in the only way I know, and sometimes it is offensive, and sometimes I do hurt people, and sometimes people who think that I've meant things severely fall out of favour with me and even no longer become my friend for whatever reason, or because they think it's genuine. But I do try, on the whole, and entertain people as best I can. I don't always get it right. Sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes people get offended when I say something or voice my opinion. It isn't that I want to get at them specifically. I'm just trying sometimes to work things out in my own way, as many people do when they open their mouth. It isn't that we have a script that's been written for us when we voice an opinion. We're often taking some concept out of our head, turning it into language for the very first time and vocalising it. And sometimes that can be offensive, but generally most people, I think, mean well. So I will continue to try and bring a bit of life and a bit of fun and a bit of jollity to this world. And I will do that again on Friday with more fun and games, hopefully. Who knows what will be in the show, but let's hope it's jolly. And I appreciate you coming along and being entertained as much as you are, and sharing in it, and making those videos, just as Andrew did, Mark Donny McLeod, and whoever the last person was, Robert Croser. Yes, how could you forget Robert Croser's amazing contribution to art and photography? And so thank you very much for them. Thank you for the wonderful phone calls. Lovely to hear from Mark English and from Sean James Cameron for calling in on tonight's show. Superb. And of course, to the lovely Julia, who's been monitoring, which has been great. And to you for talking about all the stuff we have. Don't forget, next week is Venison week. And if you do go out and visit your local butcher, do support them by buying a bit of venison. Coming up soon, I don't know when it is, Pie Week. I'm looking forward to Pie Week very much. So that's all good. Finally, just a couple of your comments. Joss Hastings says, comedy keeps people sane when it doesn't offend. Joke. And Julianne says, a true friend will forgive you for your humanity. And never a true word was spoken. There we are. That's it for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will see you tomorrow on a video that I've done. I will be live reading our book of the week, which is On Southern English Roads, which I'm reading at 4 o'clock each day. And nothing in the evening tomorrow. And then Friday back on the Vobes Show. So there we go. That's it. Thank you very much. Take care. Look after yourselves. Have a good rest of the evening. And from me, goodbye. Why is it I press the button? It's always no, not that one. Look, Eric, I've told you before. I pressed the button. I said come to a nice ending like that. And all you got to do is make sure it happens. And whatever you do, don't turn it on when I'm in the middle of something. Bloody Eric.